Hey guys, this is Tony with Energy Designs. Today I want to talk about some tips and tricks on how to design a flyer in Affinity. Today we'll be using the vector layout or the vector persona. Just want to give you some tips and tricks and some helpful tools and some tools you can use actually in Affinity to help make your design a little bit better. So let's hop into it. So we got Affinity open here. I got my new document window. We are actually going to make a new document. We're going to make sure we're inches. We're at 300 dpi. This is going to be for a 5x6. We're going to be in CMYK because we're designing for print, of course. In this, we are going to change. Sorry, this got all switched. We're going to do CMYK, US web coded. Yep. I don't want a transparent background for this one. I do want to make sure I have artboards in case, say, hey, we need to make a couple of different versions of this. We have that ability. We're going to do embedded. We'll do embedded, preserve text styles. Our margin's not going to be an inch here. It'll be 0.25. We'll do 0.125 for this. We can always change that after if we need to, too. We're going to add bleed just in case we need it. We'll do 0.125. And we'll create the document. So here we have our document. I'm looking at it. I'm looking at my margins, and these do look a little bit small for this size. Something I want to keep in mind is when I'm designing, I want to make sure I have a good breathing space, which my margin is for. I want to make sure that my document feels like it has breathing on the sides. It makes your document actually feel like a little bit of a higher quality or a better product than that. All right, so to adjust our margins, we're going to go to View, Guides, and over here is our margin setting. I actually want to change this to 0.25. And as I can see, that gives me a little bit more breathing room. This will make this document when it prints actually look a little bit more professional, a little bit more higher class. So I'll click close on that one. Now that we have this laid out, I want to make sure I have some columns to set up my layout. Usually in a document like this size, I like to stay to a 3-column layout. So we're going to go over to our text tool. And we don't want an artistic tool this time. We want the frame tool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a text box in the center of these margins. Now that I have that selected, we have our text tool over here. I'm going to go over here where our columns is. Right now it's set up to 1. Let's make that 3. This is too big of a gutter for us for these. Space between columns is called a gutter. A gutter also can be used for page layouts as well, or print layouts when imposing, but this is a gutter right here. I want to make this 0.125. Now you can see that these feel better. I mainly want these not even just for text. I want these for laying out my artwork, so my logos, my images, just as a way for me to have guidance of where things should go. This is called grid theory. There's a whole nother class we can do about grid theory. So I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to bring guides over here and I'm going to highlight them over here. This is mainly so I can see these when I'm designing and I can see everything I can. Now this is what our document looks like. Now this is a good starting point for us to go deeper down here. I'm going to take some time to designing just to get this roughly through, and I'll come back and I'll go through some of the process I did, some of the things I did, and some of the things to look at when designing a flyer. Alright, so let's go through what we got here. This is just a rough use of this grid to show you how it roughly works. So as you can see, nothing gets past one of these. If it hits here, it stops here. This is what grid theory means. So we're using these columns as a guide to make thirds, 2/3. You could even do these in fourths so then you can get a half. There's multiple types of grids. You can even do horizontal and vertical. Grid theory is pretty intimidating once you get involved into it. But let's go through some of the technical stuff and some of the Affinity things that are done here to help make this work. Let's start at the top. We got this text with this effect. Let's click it. We can go look at it. So we've actually added a visual effect similar to what you might use in Photoshop, but this is actually still vector used. So to do this, we'll go to our layer panel and we'll click this VX button. This will pop up the layer effects. And if you use Photoshop or anything else, these all look very similar and very familiar to use. So you have the outer shadow, which is your drop shadow, and we've modified some of the settings. We can modify angle, color, everything. We've also increased the tracking. Tracking is the overall space between words in a line. Different than kerning. Kerning is individual space between words. We've also decreased the leading. Leading is spacing between lines of words. To do that, it's pretty simple. Let's select all of this. So I did Control A. If I'm holding Alt and I hit the left or right arrow, it's going to increase and decrease our tracking as much as I choose. Now if I do that up and down, it's going to increase and decrease our leading. This is a quick and easy way to do this to make it easier for you. Also down here we have some images. These images are also in clipping masks already. To make a clipping mask, it's pretty easy in Affinity. So we have this rectangle here, and we have the image right below it. I'm going to take this image layer. As you can see, I have it selected. I'm going to click and drag it straight into the image. Now it's made a clipping mask. Very easy, very simple to use, quick and easy and dirty. Some other things, we have our artwork going off to bleed. Always make sure that we have that. I missed one right here. But all of our stuff is going off to bleed. That makes sure that when we get this print ready, it is bleeding like it should. We don't have a printer to make bleed. We don't have to worry about inconsistent cuts. All good to go. Also, everything that is important is inside the margins. Also a very good important thing. This image doesn't matter as much because that's not important. That's a background item. So this is just some quick tip tricks and some easy stuff to just kind of use. We could do this vertical. We could do this double-sided. There's many different things we could use. Also, one other thing I want to touch about while I'm still here. Adding placeholder text. Always a good thing to do when you're designing, just to get some quick stuff going. Easy to use. Do this. I made a text box and I did right-click. Let me delete all this first. I did right-click, insert fill text. Dumps it in there for you. Pretty easy, pretty straightforward. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, just let me know. I want to know what you want to learn next in Affinity. So leave a comment down below and I'll get to it next. Hope you guys learned something. If you did, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.